Hello friends, chosen ones. So we're continuing the transmission from where we left off. I'm in Storevån still, and I'm right here overlooking Getryggen, the goat's back, where I talked in the last video how I slept up there one night last fall, just before the first snow. It was already ice on the northern side of the mountain, like frost. But the sun had been shining all day, so where I was laying it was pretty good. And I was sheltered. But anyways, so in this transmission we're going to talk more about spiritual attacks and also about spiritual guidance, okay? So alignment and higher self-guiding. So if you are getting deeper into consciousness work and you're wondering how to deal with dark energies within and without, we're going to look a little bit more into some examples of that today. So this is a continuation of spiritual warfare video that I did the other day. So what happens is, especially when you work in deeper meditation and in especially actually when you start with psychedelics, because psychedelics, they open you up to other entities. I would say especially DMT, but they all do that, like psilocybin mushrooms and LSD and so forth. They all open you up to other entities. So sorry, I have a bit of allergies. Yeah, so the psychedelics, they will open you up to, and being a higher consciousness, it will open you up to these kind of dark energies, okay, all kinds of energies, you know, different dimensional beings, ETs, talking to higher self, all kinds of things, right? So when you start to become that level of consciousness, and it can be in a meditation retreat, it can be during a psychedelic experience. So when that happens, then you start to interact with other beings, you know, and you know, some scientists would, oh, it's a hallucination, you know, blah blah blah. No, it's not a hallucination. Those beings are as real as you, maybe not as physical as you, but they are as real. And some are as physical as you, they're just in a different place, so you can't see them, you know, or they're such a different frequency from you that you can't really interact with them normally. But because in the retreat that you're in, that you're lifting your consciousness so high, then finally it bridges over to them. And the more conscious you are, the more beings you can talk to, basically. And there's infinite amount of beings all over the place. Nature, out in the universe, in the solar system, in the galaxy, in the earth, like everywhere. And they're like, you can zoom in infinitely and you can zoom out infinitely, and there are beings all over the place. Okay. So, and again, it's you attract the energy by your own frequency. So who you're talking to, it has a lot to do with your frequency, okay? But as your light starts shining, then you will attract dark beings, okay? Some of them will revolt against you because they don't like your energy, because it's scaring to them. And some will try to stop you because they're benefiting superficially from other beings being, you know, unconscious or suffering. Yeah, there are actually beings who kind of, in a way, superficially benefit from your suffering, and especially slavery, you know. But there's a lot of these different, same like having parasites, and it's a little stream here. You know, same as you can have physical parasites, you can have spiritual parasites, okay? Like I've had, was the wildest thing, I met an ET, yeah, when I slept on that mountain actually, speaking of. There was an ET I interacted with, and after that I had some kind of parasite, and after like many months I took a supplement, okay, a dietary supplement, like a protein or something, and suddenly like I had all this weird fluid coming out of my nose. It was really, really disgusting, like almost like water, but it was red and yellow and like very thin, like the water. And it was just like for hours, it was coming out of my nose. It was so weird. It wasn't hurting or anything. But then I was told like that was an interdimensional parasite that died when I took that vitamin. So, you know, you don't have to believe me, but it's wild, you know. And so you want to be careful, but also don't worry. Like these things will be sorted out. Like when you're traveling into different dimensions and speaking to different beings, like things happen, weird things happen, and like things become sort of physicalized too. So that ET, he didn't like me for whatever reason, but yeah. Anyhow, and also as you become lighter and more conscious and awakened, your body will change, you know. And scientists are already seeing this, like how our skeletons are becoming more mineralized. So there are more crystals in our skeleton now than where it used to be like 500 years ago or whatever. And according to Bashar, that just keeps going, you know. And there's a lot of these things. So our bodies, they become lighter and lighter, and they're more capable to transmit higher frequencies, okay? Because it is also important with the physical structures. They're also like involved with that. So when you encounter these dark energies, it's really important to try to maintain your composure, you know, to maintain your high frequency so that you don't get entrained down. And it's the same with humans, by the way. Like when humans are when you're interacting with humans, like a lot of them will try to pull you down if you're very light and high in your frequency, because they are not, and they get jealous and they're not used to that, so they want to change, you know, your frequency, and they pull you down. And then if you're not careful, you get entrained down and you start feeling really low, and then you don't want to be with people because it feels like you're not having a good time anymore. But if you hold on to your frequency, and this is especially hard with people that are close to you, close family members and close friends, and people who have known you for a long time, okay? Because they know the old you and they will try to get you back into that. And if you're rising in consciousness and so forth, that can be a bit tricky. But if you pay attention to it and you maintain your frequency, so even though they might want to talk about a certain subject that doesn't resonate with you anymore, or might want to do certain activities that don't resonate with you anymore, whatever it is, you put up your boundaries and you don't go for it, okay? And each of us has to feel what that is, you know. And sometimes we can compromise more than other times and so forth. And with certain things, you know, it really depends on each individual. But that's, so boundaries, and that's the same thing when you're in a retreat and so forth. You can have boundaries, and you can tell these beings to go away, that you don't actually want to interact with them if they're really negative or too challenging for you or whatever. And there are mantras you could use. There are light languages. You can look into that, light language. There's a lot of videos about that on YouTube. I don't speak light language, so I don't want to teach you about that, but I just want to teach you of it, that it exists, and that's very powerful. I've used light language when I have been under spiritual attack, and that has been really powerful. Like before going to bed and so on, like just to have a really good feeling, a safe feeling. Because I had some things happen in my dreams, and I felt like there were some, this is before I had my permanent awakening, and there are some beings just trying to get to me and trying to affect me and so on and so forth. And so I had some mantras, some light languages that I did every evening, you know, to protect me and my family, and it helped. So that you can look into that light language. And I mean, you know, to some degree, like incense and crystals are really powerful, like to have quartz crystals around your house, or oh, it's a lovely view here. Wow, I didn't realize how far I got. I'm going a different path now. Wow, because I was walking down there in the other video. I was walking this way down here in the valley. And now we're really high up. Okay. So crystals, and you know what? If there's any like thing you like to do, you know, some people, they burn herbs, and there are all kinds of. If it feels good to you, you can do it. You know, if it feels protective, or put salt around the door. I mean, it's okay, but you also don't want to overdo it. Okay. Like I did that a little bit when I started with psychedelics, because I got into some really dark places, and honestly I was pretty afraid, and that made me feel calm, that made me be able to sleep at night. So if you're in that situation, like whatever works, you know, but try not to get too into those, because ultimately you just need to maintain your frequency with all of it. You know, you just need to remember that everything is love, everything is here to help you forward, and the contrast is here to serve you, to show you what you do want. So don't be afraid. Try to never be afraid. I mean, we will be afraid, but there's no need to be afraid, because nothing can ultimately hurt you. Okay, everything, you will get to a point where you're so strong that whatever happens to you, you're gonna transmute it. Whatever darkness comes to you, you're gonna transmute it. And especially after your permanent awakening, like it's crazy for me. Like sometimes, yeah, I get a bit confused in the past weeks and so forth, and it takes some time, a day or two or a few hours, but then it gets transmuted, you know. And the people around me are shifting, aligning with this higher energy, and you know, the people who don't, they sort of disappear, you know. So, and same with the beings. I noticed that I'm still getting some spiritual attacks after I awoke. I mean, especially right after, because they were really trying to stop me from realizing that Jesus was never crucified and all that. They really wanted me to feel like I was going to get crucified if I did these videos and so forth, because this is very, very powerful videos, guys. If you're watching this and you're feeling into it, I know there are not that many viewers yet, but they're coming, and as people awaken, they get ready for this kind of high frequency stuff. More people are going to find these and watch, and of course, as the channel grows, it takes time to grow a YouTube channel, you know. I mean, a bit. But it can also go fast, you know. Like I'll look forward to that. But the numbers are not really what's important here, okay? So let's not get too focused, because what matters is that the frequency is where it is, guys, and that's not going to change for me, because that's really clear. Any challenge I've had since my permanent awakening, I have overcome it, and I'm also in the process of, you know, integrating and refining that, of course. But it's not like I'm getting pulled down the way I used to, you know. Like I had so much doubts and fears, and those negative spirits, they will use that, okay? So they will amplify those negative thoughts that you have, and those thought patterns, and of course, when you have those, then you will also attract things that prove that those are real, okay? Because the reality is completely flexible and depends on your vibration and the thoughts you think and so forth, and the beliefs you have. Beliefs are thoughts that you keep on thinking. So those negative entities, you know, there are all kinds, you know, ghosts, but, you know, negative spirits, or lots, you know, fearful beings, there are all kinds, you know. I had encountered with a person who was dead, who I knew in life, who was very negative, but I don't know, that doesn't happen to me anymore. It hasn't happened to me for many years. That was like when I was still in the Vipassana, you know. And I'm not sure if that was my own sort of projection, you know, if the spirit actually was coming to me with love, but I felt like I had to take care of this ghost, whatever came to me. But, you know, it came to me like a human ghost, but it's a very long time ago. I don't feel like I'm attracting that kind of interactions anymore, and it just happened one time to me, so. But I think that what Abraham Hicks says is true. Like everybody who dies, they become pure positive energy and they become part of God. So maybe I changed timelines or something from something darker to something brighter over the years. But if you're here with me now, then you're in the same timeline. But there are negative beings and negative ETs and negative, you know, and there are different degrees to that too. And as you become more conscious, you're going to interact with them. You know, they're going to show up. So. And the attacks I'm having now is, I've felt a bit in the forest around the house. I feel like those negative spirits I talked about in the spiritual warfare video, those witches or whatever, they're using animals, you know, they're putting animals in my imagination. Like I'm just there filming or having a hike, enjoying myself, and suddenly I have this vision of being attacked by a bear, you know, or something like that. And I'm not afraid of bears. I even telepathically talk to bears, and I have like bear friends, you know. It sounds ridiculous, but and wolves and all kinds of things, you know, horses, and yeah, I have a lot of animal friends, animal spirit friends, and you know, that are actually animals. Some of them are real animals that are telepathically communicating with me, and then there's some that are spirit animals that are also telepathically communicating. So I'm not really afraid of bears, but suddenly this bear, and that also happened to me when I was up on the mountain doing that chanting healing that I talked about in the spiritual warfare video. So I was doing that healing, and just before I did the healing, I saw like also like a bear coming and attacking me. It was like so weird, and yeah. So that's those negative spirits. They will use those kind of images to scare you, and of course the Matrix also wants you to be scared of nature. So if you have those, you're afraid of going into the forest or in the dark forest or where there are wild animals and stuff like that. That's the Matrix programming you, okay? And they love to make you afraid because that's the antidote, you know. Nature is the antidote, like maybe the biggest one for us, and it's the biggest, definitely the biggest power for good, the purest power we have on earth by far. So you want to be yeah, you want to be really clear about that. Like nature is your help, is your support, and you don't want to let those spirits or those negativities from the Matrix influence you too much. So keep that in mind. All right. Hey, hey. Tjena. All right. So, man, it's beautiful. I didn't realize it's so varied terrain here. It really goes up and down a lot. It's a really beautiful, really amazing path. Gonna have to bring my family this way. My son is a little young for these hikes. He gets tired quite quick. He's not even 2 years old, so that's understandable. But he can sit on my shoulders. That usually works for a bit anyway. And he prefers walking downhill, obviously. Who doesn't? Man, this area is so amazing. It's such a high frequency here. It's like really really magical, and it really takes me back to Middle Earth. And you know, if you haven't watched the Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit movies, and you're up for it, I mean, they are quite dark, and they have quite a lot of scary scenes. You know, it's not horror, but definitely can be scary for some people, and especially if you're very sensitive in your energy and so forth. You know, maybe it's not for you, but for some of you, if you're resonating with me in this channel, I mean this transmission and so forth, then probably you you will really love those movies. So if you haven't looked at them, I mean, just have a look, you know. I would start with Lord of the Rings and then watch the Hobbit movies after, because they're a bit older. So, but chronologically, it's the Hobbit is first, and then it's the Lord of the Rings story. And there is another one coming in a couple of years called The Hunt for Gollum, so that's going to be a new one. That's a single movie, so that's exciting. But yeah, in those movies you get so many amazing examples, you know. There's so many amazing examples of light workers, of dealing with the darkness and negative energies, of building courage, cultivating your heart, you know, doing what's in your heart and facing obstacles and so forth. You know, life doesn't have to be that dark or challenging, and you know, when we align, we get into this effortless state, you know. So, but in a lot of ways, there are in those movies a lot of synchronicities, and there's magic, and there's a lot of wisdom, and there are a lot of beautiful things. And I love those movies. Those are my favorite movies in the whole world. And I can watch them over and over and over again because they are very long too. They're almost like 4 hours each, the extended versions. So that's like a whole day of like 24 hours of watching movies, almost, I think 20 hours or something. But yeah, you can have a look at that. That will teach you a lot, actually. A lot of life lessons that I have benefited from tremendously, and I'm still benefiting from, and a lot of inspiration, and that feeling like you want to get up and go, you know. That's how I feel when I watch those. Let's go. And you know, it brings me here. Like, I was watching The Hobbit this morning, and now I'm here, you know, like literally inside Middle Earth. This is what they're telling me, like this area is actually part of Middle Earth many thousands of years ago. So, and there are a lot of parallels, you know. There's a world that sunk, so that relates to Atlantis, and a lot of other things. Once you get into the lore and stuff, you're gonna learn. Hey. More people here. Yeah, it's not so fun to go uphill. Oh, anyways. But it's good for you. It's really good for you, man. This is such a natural way to move, and it's such a good mountain climbing. It's such a great exercise. It's probably my favorite kind of exercise, to be honest. Oh yeah. So you will learn these things, you know, little by little, to deal with dark energies, your own dark energies, but those outside. We're mainly talking about the outside energies now. Because when you get to a certain level, you're not going to have that much darkness inside you. Okay, the world will still squeeze it out of you. You know what's in there, but it's going to become more like the stage where I am now. It's much more about how to deal with the darkness outside of me, because I feel very, very light inside, and it's very easy for me to align and to just follow my inspiration. You know, my passion, which I do, you know, pretty much all the time now. It's incredible, but this is what we're going into. You know, the whole of humanity as we enter fifth density and we shift permanently and all these things. Like, this is going to be the new normal. Aligned synchronistic living, baby. That's what it's all about. So, whew. And then you have the whole power of the universe with you. Okay, so Abraham Hicks says that someone who is in alignment is more powerful than millions who are not. And I'm really beginning to see that now, because here I am and I'm really starting to shape my reality. You know, I'm bringing in these stories, I'm doing things that pretty much no one else is doing in my own unique way, you know, and that is shaping reality. Okay. So this authentic, aligned, heartfelt authenticity, you know, like, I think it's the most powerful force in the universe. I mean, it's basically God coming out of you. You know, like, that's what I feel more and more. It's not me talking anymore. It's like there's this force, like, that just wants to come through, and I just let it. You know, I have stopped holding back. I've stopped being afraid. So when you reach that point, yes, there will be darkness testing you, you know, because you will also be pushing the darkness, because you want there to be more light. You want to create, you know, structures and things that aid the light in this world. So, and as you do that, there's going to be resistance, because there's a lot of people who are afraid of change, and, you know, and there's a lot of structures that are maintained through non-change, basically, or through like keeping things the same. And to some degree, that is important. Conserve. What do you say? To be conservative it has its purpose, you know, it has its function, but part of humanity will be, you know, maintaining sort of the status quo, and we need that for stability. You know, we can't just change everything all the time, because, you know, you get nowhere. So I mean, that makes sense. There's a balance to that as well. So we should appreciate our conservatives, but we need to be much more liberal. Okay? Like in how we live life. I'm not talking about politics mainly right now. I'm talking about just how we live, how we our day-to-day and what we do with our lives. You know, we need to really get this youthful energy going, and this is what enlightenment is all about. You know, awakening. It's about really letting the leading edge through, letting God through, and then things, they will work themselves out in a beautiful way. Like this. Wow. I can't believe where I am, you know. Like, I was really thinking, oh, do I have enough time today to do this? Like, I have to get my son from daycare and da-da-da-da-da. But, you know, I just listened within, and I felt the call, you know, and that thrush, the bird that I saw this morning, it was Tolkien talking to me, like I said in the last video. Tolkien told me, like, yep, go out, live your dream, live the adventure, and this is my dream, this is my adventure. And I'm really happy what I discovered today, these two paths that I've been walking on. And I wanted to get just a little further, because when I was up sleeping on that mountain that I showed you earlier, I saw that there's some really interesting formations just a little bit further than I had time to go today. But, you know, stay tuned. We'll get there in another video. I have some family visiting now in the next few days, but after that I'll keep shooting. We'll make a lot more videos, and we'll explore. This area is enormous, okay? And there are many entry points into it, and you can get to them, a lot of them by car. So we're gonna do that and explore. Hey, hey. And we're gonna really take to heart like how old the history could be here. You know, we're talking about tens of thousands of years potentially, that, and you know, ice ages happening and so forth, totally destroying the landscape. So you know, any evidence can be hard to see, but what I saw when I climbed that peak was really interesting. You know, they said that there was an old temple up there, and yeah, I could see formations that resembled towers and structures and so on, and it's a little bit odd how it was shaped and so forth. So it's up on this mountain here, and there's a lot of rubble on top, you know, a lot of little rocks everywhere, and you know, that could be natural formations or something else. Who knows? Who knows? It's just fascinating, and you know, mainstream science is not ready for this kind of stuff, okay? Sam Osmanagic in the Bosnian Pyramid, he's like the lead scientist there, and he's very scientific, but he is extremely open-minded, okay? I've never seen such a passionate scientist who is also so open-minded like him. Okay, you can watch his videos. He is amazing. I really love that guy, and I look forward to meeting him someday and seeing the Bosnian pyramids. And he has traveled all over the world, and he's made videos, and he made his own scientific instruments, okay? And he takes measurements of life energies and Schumann resonant energies, all kinds of really amazing stuff. I mean, as you start to read about it, and you also hear people, like people go into these pyramids and these tunnels and they get healed, you know, and these are like rational people, nurses and regular people like you and me, you know. Or maybe we're not so regular. Maybe not. That's not what I meant. My story is changing quickly here. Anyhow. So, yeah. We're going to explore these lands, so subscribe and like the video if you want to be part of that journey. I can't wait to keep going, and now it's summer, so everything is very accessible, so I'm going to be doing lots of hiking and exploring and downloading. Of course, I get a lot of downloads when I'm out in these places, especially like if I bring a tent and we stay overnight and stuff like that, then that gets really powerful when you really tune in. When I'm making videos, I still get little hints here and there of things, but I'm really focused on the videos. I can't really tune in that much to the land, but at least I get some ideas about future things we could do. All right, so I'll see if there's anything else to say about these dark energies and so forth. I mean, they're really deceptive, okay? And it's on many levels. So you have the matrix, this kind of programming that we've had since the creation of humans 500,000 years ago. The Anunnaki, they deactivated our DNA, and they did all kinds of things, and they created religions and hierarchies and all these different stories to make us unconscious, you know, to make us forget who we really are. That we have this cosmic origins from the Orion, then through the Anunnaki, and so much more, you know, and now also Atlantis, Lemuria, and lots more stuff, you know. We're discovering more all the time, and I'm sure that's going to go on for a very long time in the future, like discovering who we really are and where we've been and all this, how it all connects. All right, so stay tuned. There will be more videos coming soon. Really appreciate you guys being here. And thank you for donating and supporting my work. That's huge. Like I'm feeling more and more free to really follow my passion, which is amazing. So thank you for that. And I'm available for one-on-one sessions. And you know, you can take advantage now because the channel is small. And as it grows, I might not have so much time for this. I might be starting to travel eventually and give talks and so forth, and I don't know, but if you really want to work with someone who is permanently awake and who can really guide you without manipulating you and trying to take power away from you, you know, then I would highly recommend getting in touch with me. So go to my email and the About page on YouTube, you find my email there, and just email me that you would do a one-on-one session and we can get in touch, okay? All right, so if you enjoyed this and it resonates, then please, if you have a friend or someone who would enjoy watching this video, then please send it to them as well. Thank you so much for watching all of this. And drop me some comments, what it awoke in you and what you're feeling, what you're thinking. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Look how pretty it is. Much love, much light.